So this is Ira Glass here with OK Go. Hi, guys.
Hi.
Hey.
Hi.
So maybe the first thing to talk about is just the sound of this record because it sounds so different. It's so much more of a, basically it's a Prince album, huge swaths of it. Like, do you just want to talk about deciding to change the sound of the band so much?
The way I think about it is by the time we started writing this album, we had been on tour on and off for about 7 years and we had become so familiar with what we are, what an OK Go song is, that it turned into this sort of feedback loop where I was trying to write something that sounded like myself, and everything wound up just sounding really fake, or like some band trying to cop our style, or us trying to, like things, all the tricks of writing that had worked for me in the past. Just turn it up a little bit louder, or just like double the tempo, or I just something that's supposed to make it more exciting was not making it more exciting. It always seemed just flat.
And what about the Prince stuff?
I think anytime that my gut in the past was to lean towards the Princey stuff that is so much of the music I listened to as a kid, it always felt like, well, yeah, you can't really do that because you're not Prince and you're not black and you're not like, you don't make dance music. And so they always felt kind of like pastiche, or like that would be a funny joke, but you're not a joke band, so you can't do that. And so letting go and just kind of chasing all these different musical avenues and then seeing where they lead. It was more like out of 106 things that we wrote for the record, you could go back and then realize, wow, there's a lot more Prince in this than I would have guessed.
Wait, you say 106 things. Did you literally write 106 songs for the record? Is that a real number?
When we sat down with Dave, we had 106 files to play him, and that were, I'd say half of those were pretty much songs. The other half were like a groove and a with a chord progression, or like la da 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 da.
I think it seems like, if I remember correctly, it seemed like us admitting that, like, yeah, this is really Prince, like, kind of came once we were in the studio, though.
I should say that's Tim.
I think the reason why so much of it is dancey is, like, a lot of these tracks were built from the rhythm up. It was just like a bass line and drum beat, or like a piano chord over it or something like that. And so we realized, I think, as we listened, like, yeah, this is a much dancier sort of like rhythmic record than we'd ever written before.
Do you remember like what were some of the first things that you came up with, or maybe the first thing that somebody came up with where you thought like, okay, that's good, now let's build on that for the new record?
I remember what it was for me. For me, it was Skyscrapers. It was I remember like Skyscrapers just like happened. It was like an afternoon, suddenly like a chord progression and a beat, and it all sort of like shone clear and was worth chasing, and it popped out in like a day.
And kind of in a version that we would recognize today, with just like the super spare thing and the bass.
So.
Yeah. I mean, the demo is, I think, really close to the eventual song.
Skyscrapers, please forgive me. I didn't mean a word I said.
I remember you playing Skyscrapers to me for the first time. I remember thinking, like, this is a song I would listen to. I would listen to that.
Hello.
Hey, Dave Fridman.
Hello.
Hey, Dave, it's Ira, and I'm here with OK Go.
Hi.
Hi. I should say that you're the producer of the record. Band's all here.
Hey, Dave.
Hi, Dave.
Hi, Dave.
Hello, guys.
Do you miss us?
Of course.
Do you miss the sweet smell of bacon when you come to the studio every morning?
Yes, I do.
So these guys were living with you for how long to make the record?
I don't know. It wasn't that long. 8 to 10 weeks, somewhere in there total.
12.
Was it 12?
It was 12.
Can I ask you guys to all talk about what was the song that was the hardest to make work?
I would say ultimately probably White Knuckles.
That's very true.
Yeah.
Because we kept feeling like we've got it, and then it would just sort of, it's not there yet, damn it.
Because what phases did it go through? Just describe it. Like, what did it start as? And like, what were you trying to fix? You know what I mean? Like, what was it at the beginning when it was a demo?
It was a drum beat. It was like this one great drum beat, and everybody would hear it and go like, man, we got to build a song around that. And I mean, there must have been 10 or 15 different chord progressions / songs written over it. I mean, just going through my computer before we got here, I found 3 different songs written over that drum beat.
Okay, so let's hear one of them. Okay, now here's another one of those demos. Okay, now here's another one of those demos. Okay, yeah.
And in the end, it was like the problem is it was 10 to 15 seconds of great feeling that you can repeat a lot, but it would get less and less appealing as you repeated it. And it needed a song, like it needed an arc and a shape and something to make it like a story or a
Hold on for a second, Dave. Are you like stacking milk bottles? What are you doing?
Sorry about that. I'm restocking the beer fridge here. We just got back from shopping. So,
So yeah, you were saying.
So yeah, after like 6 months of every few days coming to this groove and being like, what are we going to do with this? It had lost meaning.
Yeah, and also there were like some weird feel things that like the song just didn't feel as good as like the first demo, and like some of the like the keyboards that are doing sort of an oscillating thing like weren't exactly right.
Wait, the keyboards are doing the oscillating thing. Sing what you're saying. I don't even know what that means.
Dave got it the best.
So wait, so then you went back and basically had to rethink all of that, and then what did you replace it with?
I think in that song we were like, oh, the groove is just a little weird. Let's take every snare and move it back 10 milliseconds and then it'll feel lazier. Yeah. You have to somehow cognate some like, oh, this is probably the problem. And then you try it and either it feels better or it doesn't.
I think that was that the last song we mixed?
Yeah. I think we even...
That was an amazing process because we went ahead, and I've never done anything before or since like this, but we spent like several hours on the very last day working on this song. And I think we cut out a total of like 78 milliseconds of sound, and it took us hours to do it, and that made the difference.
Really?
Do you remember Super
Kick,
Super Kick and not Super Kick? That debate that took 4 days to figure out whether
Kick or no Super Kick.
There was a Super Kick sound, and then
there's a boom. Okay, there's like a big synthesized kick underneath the live kick.
Mm-hmm. And you couldn't figure out
whether we liked the Super Kick sound or no Super Kick sound.
So you would just play it with and without over and over.
A/B.
And then you would and then you wouldn't be able to tell, so you'd have to come back. You'd have to be like clean your brain by doing something else for 4 hours and then come back to it.
All right, well let's play. Now this is with the super boom. And this is without the super boom. It's hard to tell.
Well, yeah, but it's night and day to us.
And was there a vote? Like, was it a split jury, or do you all have to agree?
I think we all agreed in the end.
Yeah. A 3-1 vote will sometimes take it if that one says, you know what, I don't care enough.
But like, otherwise, it has to be like Brown versus Board of Education. You all have to stand together.
Pretty much. It's after 12 years as a band together, our musical tastes have become so coincident, anyways. Like I like the music Dan likes now, and vice versa. So much so that I think we kind of know when we're like, if it's something we all like, then right, that's an OK Go song. Hey Dave, I'm sorry. Actually, we've been getting so many complaints from people about like the sound, the record is so distorted, and people think that with this was that we over compressed it so it would sound loud on the radio, which is obviously totally wrong. But do you have anything to say to our fans who think the record's quote unquote too distorted?
I think they're crazy. So, I don't know what else to say about it. Most of the final mixes for your record have no master bus compression on them at all. This is simply the sound we decided to make.
When I remember actually having to write to one of those fans via email and just telling them like, we want it to sound loud and fucked up, and like it's supposed to sound like your speakers are breaking and like it's coming out of the trunk of the car next to you. That's why it's awesome.
yeah, there's this continuing debate of people are like, well, you can just turn it up. And it's like, you're really missing the point. We want it to sound, even at the quietest possible audible level, we want it to sound like your shit is on fire right now.
Is there an example of something that you know is wrong that you actually decided to keep in the recording, or you went back to something that you knew was wrong because it just sounded cooler?
The last leaf, my voice crack goes like there's one little crack, and as soon as we recorded Last Leaf outside. Dave and the band were sitting in the control room. There were two mics running out into the yard, and I was just standing in the yard with an acoustic guitar playing.
Oh, you mean outside? Like outside
on the porch.
So I'm out there, and you can hear. Like, you can hear the frogs in the background.
Why would you do that?
Because it's just like this really simple acoustic song, and if we had done it studio perfect, it was going to be really cheesy.
Yeah, I remember actually Dave saying, we're not recording this, quote, the real way. He's like, you're going outside and recording
Well, first he sent us to the college where he works with a handheld recorder and said, just go find some interesting space and record it yourself. And we tried, and we didn't get anything too good. Then I went on a break off, I actually went to Death Valley, found a place called Desolation Canyon, took a 3-hour hike up Desolation Canyon with a handheld recorder and a guitar, recorded it on the top of the mountain like 4 times, and then came back. Still didn't like what I'd gotten, even though I like the story. I mean, Desolation Canyon would have been so great.
And what are those recordings like?
They're really muffly, and the wind was really annoying, and it was getting dark, and I didn't sound sad. I sounded scared because I basically was. And I wanted so badly for that to be what we used because it just seemed like the right place to do it. But in the end, we just stuck microphones outside, and you could hear the frogs and the crickets and stuff. And I did a few takes of it, and I was sort of warming up and still getting into it. And I did one, and I remember everyone was like, "Okay, that's the one." I was like, "Yeah, but can I just fix the part where?" And Dave was like, "You're not even allowed near the file of this because if you try to fix that error, this record will suck."
Okay, so now I'm going to go around to each of you and ask you, when you guys have to play these songs live now, what's the one that you look forward to playing the most, and what's the one that's the biggest pain in your ass when you get to it on the set list? Okay, Tim?
I think live I look forward to playing This Too Shall Pass the most because it has a breakdown that allows the audience to really sing like they're at a sporting event or something like that. It sounds like you're at like a European football game, The one that's hardest to play. For some reason, I don't know why. It's not that I don't look forward to playing Needing Getting, but for some reason, I just... about every 3 shows, I can't remember how to play the bass line. It's not even a particularly difficult bass line.
It's funny, too, because you're the only instrument
I'm the only instrument in the song, too. So when I mess up, everyone knows.
I think we often play that like pretty early in the set, like second or third. And I've noticed that during that song, I'm often sort of like they come on stage and like let out the emotion. Yeah. Just like get into it is already past. And now I'm into like planning, like I need this instrument here for this song. I need this instrument here for that song, and like we need to make sure we get off by a certain time, and we have to. And, like you start getting to the logistics of the set,
right?
And I start thinking about business and the business of playing a show, and I forget the words or something.
Yeah,
have you noticed at the beginning that like I always sing the wrong verse first? In that song?
I noticed that last time we played. You sang the complete wrong verse first.
Yeah.
Dan, what's the song that you most look forward to playing from the new album, and the one that's the biggest pain in your ass?
Well, it's switched out a couple of times. The song that I enjoyed playing off the new record the most initially was Needing Getting.
How sad for you that everyone else in the band keeps screwing it up.
I know. Yeah. That's why it's no longer his favorite.
No, well, the one that I liked least now is my favorite, and that's This Too Shall Pass.
Damien, what's the song that you most look forward to singing now, this week?
The song I most look forward to singing is Skyscrapers. It's really minimalist on stage. Like we really clear everything out. And this is also the first record where I feel like our live shows have learned to handle like quiet and contemplative stuff well, and that's one of the songs where if we play it, and Dan sometimes will just like stop in the middle of a verse, and you'll hear like this gaping hole, and the audience is like silent, and that's as exhilarating a sound as them all going nuts at the same time.
There's always there's a part in that that's always anxiety for me. It's because Damien solos for a while at the end, and I come in with a second guitar part, and that's sort of like a shift in the song. And so I never know if like Damien's gotten his like solo out, or if we're having like a terrible show, like, and I let him go on to look at me and be like, "Come on, let's get this, let's go." Like,
I don't want to make up more stuff right now. Let's just get off stage.
Yeah. So I like usually I can like feel out where it's gonna be, but sometimes I'm like, should I go now? Or
I never realized that because I always look over at you and you're always kind of meandering around the stage. You like pour yourself a drink.
Yeah, I'm always like drinking a beer or like kind of looking around.
I didn't realize that.
Well, there's also the other politic going on right there is that Andy's a really good guitarist and I'm a really bad guitarist, and so like. I mean, I'm not a really bad guitarist. I'm just a very self-taught guitarist who like has a very limited bag of tricks. So soloing is not one of the things I like learned to do as a 15-year-old. And so my solos are always a little weird, and like sometimes they come out like really lyrical, and it's like, wow, no real guitarist would ever think of that, and it's so cool. And sometimes it's just like, ooh, like that wasn't a melody, that was just a bunch of sounds. And like on a night when that's one of the songs where I don't want to like have a part. I don't want to learn like to do the same thing every night. So every night it's like, okay, what am I going to do now? And 2/3 of the time it's pretty cool, and I'm like, wow, I'm learning to play guitar pretty well. And every once in a while, especially if it's been like a high tension show and things just haven't gone the way I wanted, like my creative flow is not good. And that's like a lot of times I'll look over to Andy and say like, no, let's just do another couple rounds, guys. I'm like, I don't have anything to play.
Okay, so Ira Glass here again with OK Go, who are sitting right here.
This is Andy.
I'm Damien.
This is Tim.
This is Dan.
So let's talk about the lyrics to the songs on this record. And Damien, okay, so I just got to put this out there. How much do you want to talk about your failing marriage?
You know, I obviously that's like there's a lot of songs on this record that are about strained love. And I think the only really pertinent part is that a lot of this record was written during a long period when we were trying to like. I was waiting for a response. You know, I was waiting for my wife to decide.
Yeah, I'm just like looking at lyrics from the album. There are so many in I've been waiting for months, waiting for years, waiting for you to change. There ain't much that's dumber than pinning your hopes in another, you know. And then in While You Were Asleep, Can't You Love Me How I Want, which to me is like the most heartbreaking moment on the record.
Does that sound to you selfish?
No, it sounds like somebody pleading.
Mm-hmm.
Well, because I remember actually coming up with that sort of new chorus for it, and there were so many ways to end that line. Can't you love me? Can't you love me? Da da da. You know, and I thought that the How I Want actually sort of made it a little bit more selfish. Like I'm doing this wrong too. You know, that
Mm-hmm.
This isn't just a question of can't you love me at all. It's a question of like somebody sort of being like, why won't you do this my way?
I see that. So it isn't just that she's at fault, but like you're at fault for wanting a particular thing.
Yeah.
Other lyrics that are about like just like waiting for the other person to make up their mind. I've been trying to get my head around what the fuck is happening. I've been trying to make some sense of what you're trying to do with my head. And then in End Love or Sugar Can't You See How Hard I'm Trying, I'm waiting for you to make up your mind. Am I leaving any out here?
You know, it was hard for me during that period of my life not to have that same set of like anxieties and concerns and sadnesses resurface, so that even if I was writing about something totally non-romantic, like the same sorts of things would kind of like squeeze out.
Have you guys noticed that so many OK Go songs are about incredibly powerful women who are so much more powerful than the guys in the songs? There's Invincible. There's half of this record. Even like Don't Ask Me How I've Been is about that.
Yeah, well,
Chicks, man.
Chicks.
I had never actually thought about that, Ira, until right now. But you're right.
Yeah.
So when you perform these songs that are about all of those feelings of that period during the breakup between you and your wife, do all those feelings come back to you when you're on stage singing the songs?
Sometimes. It's playing live. The vocals can just become syllables. Like it's just like you're playing an instrument, you know, and especially because of all the competing emotions on stage. You're like, you know, on the one hand, we're sort of at our job today, and you have to be thinking about all these different things you're doing. On another, we've just come out of a really loud, really exciting song, or you know, there's whatever else is going on
if you can't hear anything, sometimes you just can't.
You mean literally like the acoustics of the room or the way the PA works?
I can't hear the speaker. It's not loud enough, or it's just a strange room. But
something's broken. One of the pieces of equipment isn't working. There's all these other things competing.
Yeah, Dan.
The best shows are the shows where I can hear him sing. And Needing Getting, like, there's such a relief at the end of the song in a weird way.
The end of that song is one of my favorite parts of the record. It's like one of the most honest
Mine too.
like
sure.
beautiful parts of the record, and in the live show, it's one moment where we can really like stop jumping and running and sweating, and it's just like a moment we get to just like
feel.
And so it does. It can come back when it really comes back staggeringly. It can actually like be really hard to sing.